Alright, so let's take care about that shader, that anisotropic shader for the some parts of that wristband. So first let me hide those upper rings here, and then let's turn on the wristband connection here, and let's also turn on the wristband. So on those parts here, the center parts, if I go to object mode, on the center parts we have the chrome shader, right? And yeah, Maya's slowing down here. Excuse me for that. So something is going on. Okay, so we want to create an anisotropic shader for this guy here and for those guys, right? And to do this, let's go to Hypershade. And then let's create an anisotropic here. So with that selected, let me zoom in on that. Okay, so with that selected, hit Control A. And then we say we want to change some settings here. So let's dial down the diffuse here to 0.2. And let's go down and change the angle here of the specular shading to 180 degrees. And we also might want to change something down here. So first of all, let's create a Maya 2D texture, and let's create a 2D noise texture. Okay, so again, let's delete the projection node and the place 3D texture here, and then let's take a look at the noise node here. So with that selected, let's change some settings here. Let's change the threshold here to something like 0.13 and the amplitude to 0.15 and the ratio to something like 0.8 and the frequency to 1.777. So I'm using the same settings as I used when I did the watch the first time. So I'm looking right now at another monitor here where I have that scene file opened. So now what I changed here, the frequency to something like 15.8. And yeah, so another thing I changed. So the next thing we have to change is here under the place 2D texture node here. So now we go in and say we want to the repeat UV. We want to repeat this 30 times in U and 0.05 times in V. And then we get this nice kind of look here. And now we drop this noise node here into the anisotropic, and down here under the mental rate tab, you find the MI reflection blur. So we are using a shader trick if you want to. So just middle mouse and drag this onto the MI reflection blur. Okay. So with that done, yeah, we have that anisotropic here in place, and that should work fine. So now let's give it a name, and let's call this Ani shader. So with that shader created, let's drop it here onto those pieces. But we only want to have the parts. So let me switch here to the texture editor. So it might be a little bit easier to see. So we don't, the sides here, they should have a chrome shader, right? So we only want the faces here to have that anisotropic. So with those faces selected, go right click and say assign existing material the Ani shader. Okay. So now when I go in and say with the in the UV texture editor. Now let me select that object first, and then select all the rest of the faces here of that guy, all of those. And there we say assign existing material, and this time our chrome shader, the main chrome shader, we can put that on. So what that does now is, or should do, is we have the anisotropic here and the chrome shader on the sides. Okay, so we have to do this for all the pieces here. So let me show you that with this guy here as well. So go to texture editor, select all of those faces here, and then say right click, assign existing material, the ani shader. And again, if you go to the UV texture editor and you select all the rest of the faces that we didn't select the last time, all of those, and say assign existing material, chrome shader main. Okay, and that's what we're going to do for all the pieces here. So yeah, let me pause the video and I'll be back when I'm done with that. Okay, so yeah, we are coming closer to the end, finally to the end of this tutorial here. So I put, like I did that in the last minutes here, I put the anisotropic shader here on those faces, and on this side I put that chrome shader. And when I was done with this side, actually I was going in, deleted the whole geometry here on this side here, deleted that, and then again took this geometry and duplicated that and then scaled it -1 and z. Alright, so with this done here, we need one final step, our final rendering. But before we do this, so let's first select all of those objects here on that layer, and let's hit 3 to go to smooth version. And now so this is where it starts getting heavy in your scene. So before we want to render, so let me hit 4 to go to wireframe mode. It's easier for Maya and for my system. Okay, now we need to turn on the knobs. I select all the objects in that layer and hit 3 as well. Turn on the rubber boats. Again, I'm selecting all this stuff in that layer. Hit 3 to go to smooth version if I haven't done it before. So turn on the wristband lock, and again hit 3 to smooth that out. And that's what I'm going to do with all the parts here. So I will bring all the parts in and go to smooth version. But there are only some pieces that we don't want to smooth out. Those numbers that we created for the inner holes here, the 10 and so on. So I don't want to smooth those out, because those look some kind of ugly if you smooth those out. Okay. All right. So I'll be back when I'm done with bringing everything in here and smoothing that out by hitting 3. Besides those numbers, and when I'm done with that, I'll be back, and then we actually start our final render here.